All right, let's dive in. When we talk about building a truly sustainable world, there's this incredible, kind of invisible force making it all happen, the digital ecosystem. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really look at how these digital networks are basically becoming the brain of the circular economy. So let's start with a really fundamental question. In the old way of doing things, take, make, and then just dispose, the answer is easy. This is waste. But the whole idea of a circular economy flips that on its head. It forces us, it demands that we see this stuff not as trash, but as a valuable resource. And the secret sauce that makes that whole switch possible? It's data. And that's exactly where the digital ecosystem comes into play. The best way to think about it is like a central nervous system for the circular economy. It's this intricate web of connections that links designers, suppliers, manufacturers, recyclers, everybody, letting them all talk to each other in real time. This digital nervous system is what transforms a bunch of separate companies into, well, a single, smart, and super responsive organism. Okay, so what is this brain really? In this first part, we're going to break down what a digital ecosystem actually is and get to the heart of why it's the absolute bedrock of a functioning circular world. So, at its core, a digital business ecosystem is a network. But, it's a very special kind of network. It's designed to connect all sorts of different organizations. We're talking suppliers, producers, sometimes even direct competitors. And it does this through shared digital platforms. These platforms, they're the real backbone. They are what makes the seamless communication, the transactions, and that crucial data sharing happen that really fuels the whole circular economy. All right, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's make it super concrete. We're going to follow the entire journey of one single product and see exactly how these digital connections bring its circular life cycle to life. Let's imagine a company, we'll call them Smart Flow Pumps. The whole thing starts with design. They use a collaboration platform to work directly with material suppliers, making sure that pump is built to be easily recycled from the get-go. Then it's on to manufacturing. An orchestration platform coordinates the just-in-time delivery of every single part. Now, once the pump's out on the world, IoT sensors are constantly tracking its health. And that data, it feeds an AI that can actually predict a failure before it happens and then automatically schedule maintenance. And then, at the very, very end of its life, that same platform helps the customer find a certified recycler to send it back to. See what's happening? Every single step is connected, it's visible, and it's totally optimized. So that entire journey we just walked through, it was all powered by different types of digital platforms working together in harmony. So let's break down the four main engines that really make these ecosystems go. First up, we've got collaboration platforms. Look, their entire purpose is to bring minds together. We're talking people inside a company, outside a company, it doesn't matter. It's all about sharing ideas, getting feedback, and co-creating solutions. It's about harnessing that collective creativity. A really fantastic, real-world example of this is OpenIDEO. When they launched their Circular Design Challenge, it wasn't some quiet internal project. No way. They invited a global community, designers, manufacturers, inventors, to submit and refine ideas for sustainable products. That right there is a collaboration platform in action. Next, we have orchestration platforms. So if collaboration platforms are for brainstorming and big ideas, orchestration platforms are all about execution. Think of them as the operational backbone. They manage and streamline all the complex processes across a ton of different companies, like an entire supply chain. And this next example just shows the sheer power of orchestration. The International Material Data System, or IMDS, it's used by a staggering 95% of the world's car manufacturers. Why? To manage all their materials data for compliance. But, and this is the really critical part, even though the platform is shared by everyone, each company keeps total control over its own sensitive data. It's a perfect example of how you can have collaboration without having to sacrifice security. Okay, the third type is creation platforms. Now, these go a big step further than just collaboration. They actually provide the tools and the access for partners or even for customers to build totally new products, services, or apps right on top of the platform itself. Just think of a site like Thingiverse. It's this massive digital library for 3D printable designs. The platform owner doesn't create the designs, the community of users does. They upload them, they share them, they improve on each other's designs, and in doing so, they create this immense value for the entire ecosystem. And finally, number 4, matching platforms. At their heart, these are basically really sophisticated digital marketplaces. Their whole job is to connect supply with demand, perfectly aligning the availability of resources or services with the people who need them. Reapply is a perfect example of this in the circular economy. It's a platform where businesses can list their surplus assets, stuff that would otherwise just become waste. Then other companies can come along and get those materials. And crucially, Reapply also tracks the environmental impact, so you can see the direct positive benefit of turning one company's waste into another company's resource. So we've got these incredibly powerful platforms connecting everyone and everything. But, that brings up a massive question. Who's in charge? Deciding who controls the ecosystem, that is not just some small technical detail. It's a critical strategic choice that defines power, it defines data ownership, and it defines the freedom of every single participant. To really get a handle on the options, let's use an analogy. On one hand, you have centralized control, which is like an orchestra. You've got a single conductor who directs every musician, making sure there's harmony and making quick decisions. On the other hand, you have distributed control. Think of that more like a dance ensemble. There's no single leader, right? Each performer acts independently, but they all follow a shared set of rules, the choreography, to create this beautiful, cohesive performance. So those two core ideas, the orchestra and the dance, they give us 4 main models for control. This slide breaks them all down, but let's just quickly walk through them. You've got centralized, that's our orchestra. It's efficient, but you risk one person or entity having all the power. You've got distributed, our dance ensemble. It's super flexible, but a little harder to coordinate. Then you have decentralized, which takes it even a step further. Think of a system with no owner at all, often using tech like blockchain. It's amazing for trust, but man, decisions can be slow. And finally, you've got the hybrid model, which, as you can guess, tries to mix and match to get the best of all worlds. The upcoming EU Digital Product Passport is a perfect real-world example of one of these hybrid models. See, the EU provides the centralized orchestration. They set the rules, the standards. But the actual data, which is often sensitive, proprietary information, that stays distributed. Individual companies manage their own contributions. It's a really smart balance between top-down coherence and bottom-up control over your own data. So, after all of that, what does this actually mean for your business? If you're thinking about joining one of these ecosystems, what are the real opportunities, and what does it actually take to get in the game? Look, joining an ecosystem brings some huge benefits. You can collaborate way more effectively, you can make better informed decisions, and you can adjust to market changes much more quickly. But let's be real, it's not without its challenges. Integrating all these different data systems is tough. Aligning all the different stakeholders is really complex. And navigating things like regulations and intellectual property, that requires some very careful planning. So to overcome those challenges, a company really needs to build some key digital muscles. We're talking about core capabilities like efficient API management, which is just a fancy way of saying you need clean, reliable doorways so different software systems can talk to each other. An event-driven architecture, which means your systems can react instantly to new information, not just sit around and wait to be told what to do. And of course, you need things like total supply chain transparency, rock-solid cybersecurity, and an infrastructure that can actually scale as the ecosystem grows. And that brings us to our final thought. As we move deeper into this new circular economy, data really does flow like water, connecting everything. The strategic question for every single organization is no longer if they will connect, but how. Are you going to simply build a pipe to send and receive data? Or are you going to design your business to become part of the current itself, shaping its flow and drawing energy from the entire ecosystem?